Welcome to the Simple Minds podcast, where we look to empower and encourage real conversation amongst men everywhere by unpacking topics on self-help, philosophy, and business. Hey guys, welcome to another episode of the Simple Minds podcast. This is Matt Hannum here, and we've got a bit of a special treat for you the next couple of episodes. A few weeks ago, we conducted our first, live podcast where we got a few people in the room and ran a small event and gave people a chance to sort of sit around and watch us record what it looks like to record this audio. Sometimes is a bit more interesting. It's nice to see some facial expressions, and when you've got a few people behind the microphones, there's always something going on behind the scenes. So that was a lot of fun, and then we opened up into a live Q&A session, which was amazing, and there was some really great content in there. And then we moved into a goal setting workshop where 2020 is by the time you're hearing this, 2020 is now, and the end and start of a new decade, and there's an end and start of a new year. And what are you going to do in 2020? Have you set some goals? What does that look like? So this first part, this is going to be broken down into two parts, and this first part is going to be the episode where we talk through what's in a New Year's resolution and basically feed into, really goal setting and what 2020 might look like. There's some great topics, some great banter amongst the gents, and then we feed into a really phenomenal Q&A session, which I think will be part two. And yeah, we really had some great questions asked from the audience, and I think you'll really enjoy these next two episodes. So without further ado, welcome to our first live streamed event. We can show you through all this stuff later, but
welcome to Simple Minds podcast number 88.
Was that the official stuff?
No, that was the first.
I think we're going.
We're going.
We're going?
Yeah, we're going.
Ah.
What? Shut up. Who's starting?
Well, you can go. It's your drink, so let's go.
Let's go.
Yeah, your drink, you host.
So it's not in the afternoon, it's in the morning.
That's right.
We can have a beer at 10 o'clock.
Welcome to Simple Minds podcast. I'm Conrad Francis. I'm joined at the table at our live event, our first live event for the year. It was a goal of ours. We managed to get it done.
Ever.
I've got Justin Bourne.
What's up?
Magic Matt Hannum.
Hello, Conrad.
You know that Magic Mike's actually coming to Melbourne?
He's in Australia at the
Is
moment.
he?
Yeah, right.
What's his name? Tatum.
Yeah, Channing Tatum.
What's his name? Oh, I'm not really sure. What's his name? Is it Channing Tatum? Born in...
Oh, I've never watched the show, mate, so I wouldn't know.
Yeah, of course.
Big Red. Potato. Go, buddy. You look like a fucking Christmas tree.
Hey, well, some of us had to bring a bit of colour.
Well, I thought the uniform was black shirts.
Obviously not.
All right, so like we said, we've got a live audience here. Thanks for joining us this morning, guys. It's really, really cool to see a few people turn out. We are drinking a beer today. It's been sponsored by a friend of mine who just launched his own brewery after 2 years in hibernation. It's the brewery's called Terraform. It's a WA-based brewery based out of West Leederville. So we're drinking what he calls a raspberry red. It's an IPA. We've got another one for a bit later. 6.2% alcohol at 10 o'clock in the morning.
Jesus. Can't have the big guns.
This is going to be a cracker.
Okay.
All right.
I'm going to
No
be
worries.
Let's crack them and have a taste.
Cheers.
Oh, Jesus.
Mate, did you put them in the fridge?
Yeah. Fucking hell. That's interesting.
No, it's really nice.
It does taste like raspberry.
It tastes like warm raspberry beer.
It's the first time I've actually had a beer that actually tasted like what it says it is.
For a 6% beer, that's actually really good.
It's not bad, is it?
Smooth.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Surprising.
well done, Mark.
So
Five
West
star.
Leederville.
West Leederville. He's in on tap at two places. I think Besk and West Leederville is one of them, and then in a couple of boutique liquor stores. They only produce like 4. We've lost their backdrop already.
They're only 4 or 5 cartons?
Like 400 litres a month. So it's not micro. It's tiny.
Really random. I really like the design of the can.
Yeah, the can's good.
It's cool.
Well, some of the owners are the guys from Juicebox, if you guys know who they are.
I do.
Matt does.
So they've got a bit of branding behind him.
It's probably through Combank or something as well.
Combank. All right, so we've got a couple of topics to talk to today on.
So we're changing up the format today a little bit.
Yeah, just bringing back to where we started with 2 or 3 topics to break down over the next 45 to an hour, and then post that we'll have a little bit of a chit chat and Q&A. So I'll hand it over to JB and Trav, who are going to introduce their topic.
Off you go, JB.
Yeah, all right. On that, if anyone has any questions that comes out of what we're going to talk about over the next 45, write them down so you can ask us, and we'll look to answer them. I don't think you really talked to. I mean, there's a bit of a consistent theme for today.
What is it?
I don't know.
It's there.
Yeah, winning the 2020 game. No. Setting up yourself for success and achieving goals and understanding your vision and whatnot. And the first kind of topic Trav and I want to talk about, this came up actually recently with someone in the room, Marco, who's helping us film out today. Cheers, Marco. Appreciate it. And Andrew, who's helping us film. So thank you very much. Just those quick 2 shout outs. I run a creative business, and we were talking about how do you measure success? And what are your metrics for success, particularly when and I mean, this applies to everything across the board, right? How do you measure if you're progressing well, if you're going backwards, if you're going forwards? And it's something I've actually really struggled with over the few years. There's a couple of my team members here today, and they'll know how much we've struggled to measure, I guess, the creative aspect of the work, which is quite subjective, and then also trying to measure if we're actually winning or losing or moving forward, because there are just so many variables. And we were talking about this, and I think it's important to try and figure out what are your metrics, and that can be in anything, whether it is your health, your business, finances, relationships, energy, anything, right? Because if you don't know if you're succeeding, it can start to get, you get a bit self-defeated, and it's just like, oh, you don't feel like you're going anywhere. And achieving small wins actually gives you more motivation, gets you going further, and you can kind of capitalize it. Because what we come to realize was that when we expect a certain outcome and we don't achieve that outcome, we go into a bit of a negative headspace. And that's very common for creatives, and we've talked about the pitfalls and the downfalls of comparison, and how quickly we kind of look to other people's work and we're like, oh my God, it's so good, and like ours is crap, and then we end up getting into this like real negative spiral. So it's something that I still really haven't worked out on the subjective side. I think, in the business, we've set up some financial goals. Hato, did you want to kind of share a little bit, how do you measure, I guess, the success for your work in photography and video and stuff?
Yeah, I think being a creative, it's harder to measure success because it's such a subjective type of industry, because one thing someone may love, someone may hate. I actually saw a news story the other day, and it was a piece of art, and it was duct tape and a banana, and the banana was just gone ripe, and it'd been stuck to the wall, and it had literally sold for $120,000. And to highlight the subjectiveness of art and creativity and that sort of stuff, like I think that's not my sort of cup of tea. But someone obviously thinks, that's pretty incredible. So
that's art in its purest form, though, right? I mean,
yeah.
at its most purest, so people that are painting for the sake of painting, or creating whatever for the sake of creating, and this is why we see most of those times that those artists tend to make most of their money post death, right? because then there's no more work created.
Well, so
you guys are false creatives.
That's brand in its purest form, basically. I mean, it wasn't a nobody that did that, most likely.
Yeah, I'm not actually sure who did it. But I think it's an incredible process to go through as a creative to measure that success. Personally, I've been a photographer for 10 years, and early on, like I would probably say a lot of creatives that are trying to get into the industry and crack it full time, this is their biggest hurdle, to detach themselves from every job not being successful and moving on. For the first 3 or 4 years, it was definitely a hard thing. Now it's more a muscle for me. And the way I do it is every job that I do or every shoot that I've taken, I kind of measure it by, did I give it 100%? Am I happy with the way I turned up, the way I thought about what I was doing, gave it my absolute all? And then the other thing I actually look back at and I go, well, does it serve the purpose of my client? Because everything I do is I'm a commercial photographer, so it's all client based. Does it serve the purpose? Because if I base it on a feeling or affirmation from my client, then I really feel like I'm setting myself up to fail. Because if a lot of people don't affirm you after you're given a job. You're sitting
they
there,
pay you.
Yeah, exactly. So you're sitting there waiting for affirmation. Oh, great job, Travis, and it never comes. So you're setting yourself up to fail to get that affirmation or get that acknowledgement that you're seeking, and it may not come. So then
Hang on. Hey, 48 hours ago, maybe 51 hours ago, Thursday morning, you said something around the lines of you get your reward, or when you've done enough based on the client being happy.
Yeah, but not the affirmation, so that you've done 100% and it serves a purpose for the client. So if you have nailed the brief and you know exactly what you're doing, not that you're getting the affirmation back.
Hang on, but
you can't set yourself up to get the affirmation back.
So the preface on all of this was that you said you're a commercial photographer, so you're in the business of photography.
Yeah.
In the business.
Yeah.
All right, which means your product is your time.
Yeah.
All right, if they're prepared to pay for your time, then the measure of success is how often they come back to you.
Well, that too. But a lot of times you only shoot for someone once.
Sure, and they paid the bill.
Yeah, exactly. So, if that's not enough of acknowledgement, what is?
In business, that's all the deal you get.
Yeah. So, in terms of other sort of tools that I use, because I still do it now, I'll look on someone's website and go, holy shit, JB and I were talking about this yesterday. And, you look on someone else's website and you go, holy shit, like their stuff's incredible.
Seriously, you guys do that?
Yeah, you still do it now. Yeah. It's natural.
Everyone does it. We do it sometimes.
No, I don't.
In the office, we'll do it as a group, and we'll sit there and be like, "Oh my god, these people's work's so good. Why can't we do that?"
Yeah. Yeah, and you're still getting paid to do what you do. Do
you do it?
Yeah, look, we do. We create content. I mean, we do. But the bit I was getting at, because I still don't think you've answered, and I've responded, or you've answered to my question.
Let's delve.
Well, often, when we're trying to serve the client, they're not necessarily that happy when we're trying to help them and serve them for what they need.
Okay.
So I can't find that I can use the metric of are they happy as an outcome for what we've done. But if I tied it to that, then we'd be losing.
Okay.
That's externalizing it. And that takes it all out of your control too.
Yeah. So I'm not saying that are they going to be happy? It's not based about the feeling. Is what I've shot serving what they wanted?
On Thursday, that's what you said.
That's what I said.
You said, are they happy?
No, I didn't mean to say happy. I meant to say, are they? Is what the job that I did for them? Is it serving their need, their purpose? Right. And if that is taking photos of a headshot, did I supply a headshot to the best of my ability? Yes, then I'm happy. But if I'm waiting for that acknowledgement back to say that they're happy, then no.
Well, that's a common theme that even doing a bit of research into this and being exposed to that is practicing to internalize the metric, or the metric being internal, sorry, should I say. This 6% is getting to me already. And rather than looking for external validation or doing it for external purposes, you're doing it for your own internal. And so a lot of it is around, measuring progress. So as long as you've improved 1% on the next project or the next job or the next thing, but then when you do achieve that 1%, it's not, came across a really good video. I don't know the guy, maybe we can, after this, work out what his name was. And he described it really well.
Paul Chapman?
Maybe it was Paul. It was someone Chapman. It was maybe
Gary Coleman.
Yeah, one of those two. They serve us a lot of content over the years. And when we achieve that point is if we are referencing, when we get to that moment in time, if we reference to what we thought it would be, essentially our expectation, we set ourselves up instantly for failure. But then if we reference it back to where we started, that is like, oh, I actually made progress. So you get a different sense of
that's why the journey's the
feeling
issue, right?
and satisfaction. And he called those two, when you look forward, the gap, and then when you look backward, the gain. And I thought that was really a great way to describe, because it happens all the time. I think a lot of the time we do default. I don't think it's just creators. I think it's anyone who's producing work is always, it will look for an external, and a lot of people are words of affirmation as well, right?
Yep.
As we know, some say they're not. Nah, and we look for that, that external, well done, good job, high five, paycheck to do that. But you're only setting yourself up for failure. And so, I think being able to reflect and understand where you've come from and acknowledge your wins, which through my own experience has given me, and I've done that more this year, I think, gone back and acknowledged, and we've been trying to do that more in the team as well, acknowledge where we've actually come from to see, we're actually making progress, because it's just really challenging.
So going back to looking at other people's websites and work and that sort of stuff, is there anything that you use to get you back into a positive mindset?
Talking on that, like I just said, we do that regularly, and I've done that a lot over the years. I'll go into literally just browsing competitors' websites. Now, I think there's a positive component to that, and there can be a negative. The positive to that is that, and we've talked about this, and this applies in all areas of life in terms of modeling, the word modeling. So looking to a reference point of where someone's achieved what you want to achieve prior. And I think that's the positive aspect of that. So what I akin some of our success as a studio in Perth is that we reference the East Coast competition and the global competition rather than our local. And that set a benchmark for us to strive towards. And so that has served us really well, because we're always like, fuck, that stuff's really good. And there was another great share I came across where your visual taste or your taste is then accustomed to that. And then your frustration between your taste and your skill set's called the gap. And so there's a lag between where your taste and skill eventually get to a certain point. So that's where I see the positive of sometimes doing that.
But if you look at a competitor's website or a competitor's imagery and compare it to yours, and yours is the negative, then the aspiration, and we'll talk about it later, is coming from the negative space.
Yeah, that could.
The aspiration's great.
Yeah,
the aspiration's great. But if you're telling me, oh shit, ours is shit compared to them.
Well, sorry, I should just clarify. I never used to really say our stuff is shit. I'd be like, generally my mindset as an individual was like, we can do that. So a lot of the time I would be sitting there and I'm going, my frustration would become more around, I had the belief that we could make it happen. We just weren't making it happen in this point in time. So that's where a lot of mine was at. But you can flip very quickly to the negative, and therefore you can go backwards. So in terms of to answer your question, Hato, in terms of a tool, I think it's literally, I don't know, for us is literally just kind of putting it to the side and almost just forgetting about it and getting on with your own work. And just continue to kind of practice and pick a couple things, and literally is not be too caught up in the comparison trap, because I think you shared a bit of a tactic of going back to some of your older work and realizing actually some of this is pretty good, because
And how much you got paid for it.
Well,
Yeah.
like every now and then I'll actually look back. Like if I do look at someone else's work and you feel shit, I'll look back at my own. Like, oh fuck, I've actually got some pretty good stuff there. But then
Or you
also,
could look back and see how crap it was and think, wow, they were happy and they paid me how much?
well, that's the exact point as well. Like, so if you go further back, you're like, holy crap, look at the work that I was doing 3 years ago, and I actually got paid for that. So it works. So it's that reflection piece that you were talking about, the gap in the game.
Yeah, and I think it just depends on the perspective or the view lens that you want to apply to it at that moment in time, to switch it up between a positive or negative vision, rather than moving away from something versus moving towards something, which I'm sure we're going to talk a little bit about today. So, but we still have yet to. We tried to come up with rating systems where we'd get 4 or 5 people to vote on certain qualities of aspects to try and measure.
Still do that.
Creative. Well, we designed a point system, but that's more around output. And it's more tied to a commercial aspect, which is really great in that sense. But it doesn't. Pure creatives who love to just make, that doesn't really satisfy the growth metric too much. And I think, in order to stay motivated, you need to know that you're growing and moving. And I think this applies to anything where it's really hard to measure. Like what I loved about, I recently took up running the last kind of 6 months, and I really loved it because there's a clear goal and you can clearly measure your progress. And so the first time I'd go run for 1.5 Ks and I'd be like, I'm stuffed. And the next day I'd be like, I want to try run 2 Ks, and I did it. And I'm like, fuck yeah. And then, you up the goal. And I've really enjoyed running over the last few months because I can set that goal and it's very measurable. And it's something that I didn't really get a lot from my creative work, because there's always room for improvement in the creative field, and you can get stuck in a bit of a spiral. So, just a quick question: what advice or suggestions would you give to people trying to measure subjective or feeling based progress?
I don't know. I mean, I think Trav's measure is probably the smartest, as long as you're okay with it. I mean, if you're getting paid for it, my full stop is if you're getting paid for it, you're getting paid for it. I mean, the client is your truest indicator. And I think you've really got to disconnect from everything else. It can't be that personal when you're in it for a commercial reason.
Yeah, you can't attach it to a feeling from the end result. So
It's not your work. Like at the end of
You've been
the
commissioned,
day,
exactly right.
You've been commissioned to do something. So often within our team, things often change a lot from what the initial creative person will do to where it outputs and ends up on their website, on their social media, on wherever it is. And I think at the end of the day, that's your job, is to help them achieve their outcome. Yeah, if you want to be a pure artist in that form, I think you don't do that in a commercial realm necessarily. I mean, you've got talents and you've got skills that you bring to the equation, but sometimes we'll get a new staff member in, and that new staff member's it feels like they want to get it perfect the first time. It doesn't work that way. You have to get used to being adjusted 3 or 4 times along the process from internal or external, because at the end of the day, as much as you have your own ideas and thoughts, it's their brand, it's their business, it's their content. And
you're an extension of that.
You are just the person helping them achieve that. You have the tools to help them extract that. That's your job. End of story. You get paid for that. And as far as I'm concerned, you don't have any license to control a creative.
I think we just keep coming back to the point. I think, JB, you've probably learned it more so this year, but we can say we're creators. But if there's a commercial valuation on this, and there's a piece of work being done that you've been commissioned to do, then you're in the business of creativity.
Yeah. Well, one thing that we haven't done, which I would love to start implementing for next year, and Hader were us talking about this, I think I talked about this with Marco as well when we were talking on this topic, is when you engage the client, ask them, what does success look like for you, for the client?
Geez, mate, you're gonna have how much more time you have to
Good luck
process?
getting an answer.
Yeah, but that's a hard.
I ask that question.
It's a
at
hard.
the start of every engagement.
I know it's a hard question to ask, but that's where but that's where going deep in that's going to improve the value of your business as well.
I think it's a good question to ask. I just don't know whether you're going to get an answer.
No, it's going to be hard. So that's going to revolve its own process. But I think doing that would be helpful. But I think in kind of summary, a lot of it comes back to referencing being better than just yourself yesterday and internalizing your growth rather than looking for an external validation of your growth, and being mindful of referencing where you are to where you want to be and sitting in that space too much. That's only going to create frustration and anxiety, and more reference of the small little achievements and progress that you have made in reference to yesterday or last year or 6 months to keep you motivated. And you know, the last thing I'd like to add is more from a creative, and actually with anything, right? Any career or business, you are not your work. And I think that's really powerful for people to understand. A lot of people will produce work to seek an external validation. If that validation is good, they connect that meaning to being, I'm good. If people turn around and go, I don't like this piece of work, they make the meaning of, I'm not good. And never tie your career, your outputs, your efforts to your self-worth, because you are not your work. And I think to try to practice that mindset in comparison with that is really powerful when you're setting some goals and setting up a bit of a vision and progress moving forward. So, it's been a challenge over the last 5 years coming up with metrics. And I think for anyone doing some goal setting, be mindful what you're setting your metrics on.
Cool, great podcast.
All right, gents. So look, to wrap that up, it's December. Yay. We get to the end of a year and
are we getting this out in December?
Huh?
Is this going to get out? Are we releasing this podcast in December?
I don't know. No, probably not.
It's being released right now.
It's January. It's been, yeah, look, it's, you know, these guys are our listeners. You know, they're listening in. They're probably the first to listen. If you like, feel free to get out your phones and chuck us on Instagram, tag us, do whatever you like out there. Otherwise, we'll come and film.
Like, share, comment. Isn't that what we get told?
We'll film you later. No, I want them to create.
Like, share, and comment.
No, I want them to film it.
Oh.
So that's good. But anyway, it's December. It's the end of a decade, as Hader reminded me.
I hate that.
And what do? We make New Year's resolutions. So now's about the time that everyone's been thinking about their New Year's resolutions, and I thought it would be a nice way to just, if people are lacking ideas, maybe you might want to be interested in the top 10 New Year's resolutions that everybody sets. So according to research, about 60% of us admit that we make New Year's resolutions, but only about 8% of us are successful in achieving them, regardless of whether we've achieved previous resolutions the year prior. So a few interesting facts. Saving money is one of the top 5 New Year's resolutions, and also the top 5 most commonly failed. Women make health-focused resolutions, while men pledge to find a new job and lay off the alcohol as a general result.
Quit the ciggies.
So cheers. Cheers, guys. A new job, maybe? Anyone?
Yeah, I would want trying something new.
So the top 10 in order of most common is to diet or eat healthier, exercise more, lose weight. I mean, I think all 3 of those seem to be the same one.
Is this your list?
That's just your list. Your mum sent it to me and she said, can you get Conrad to do these few things? Save more and spend less, learn a new skill or hobby, quit smoking, read more, find it on the job, drink less alcohol, and spend more time with family and friends. So pretty obvious, right? So who in the room has made a resolution like that? Either they're thinking about it this year or maybe they have in the past.
It's a lot of hands.
There's not many hands. The only hand down was the one with the guy with 2 hands on the camera. So I think that goes for everyone. So we do this, right?
I don't make resolutions.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
Yeah, but when you were 20,
when you were 20, you might have.
Can't remember.
Now that you're in mid-60s, you probably don't make resolutions
45 years
anymore.
ago.
I mean, when did you stop? In your 50s or 60s? Or?
These are shit resolutions, though. Is this for real?
No, mate, I made this up. I went to Inc. and I sent them a letter and said, hey, so this is from Inc.com. I didn't write it. What do you mean? What do you mean made up? Does this not look like a real list to you?
I guess
You coach people.
I guess they're pretty general. I mean, learn a new skill or hobby. I mean, 26%, that's pretty big.
Well, most of them aren't going to say learn backgammon, are they? I mean, they had to round them into groups of communities of people that wanted to do things.
Fair enough.
Oh, so
Why'd you choose backgammon?
because I thought
So that's his new skill for next year.
that's in his future, mate.
Is that in your New Year's resolution?
Conrad just reminded me of. I just saw Conrad's future. Next week, he's going to learn backgammon.
I think it's more a chess.
So why do New Year's resolutions fail?
Well, why don't you tell me?
No,
You're the coach.
I'm asking a question. Anybody want to answer the question?
Why do they fail?
Yeah,
I can tell you why.
Well
Would
done.
you like another list?
I'd love to hear why they fail, Matt.
Well, here's the top 10 from lifehack.org, because no, I did not write this list either, Conrad. So number 1, you're treating a marathon like a sprint. Does that make sense to you?
Yep.
Good. You okay with that?
Yep.
Understand it?
So we're talking about chunking down, right?
Chunking down. We make too bigger. I mean, look, I want to lose X weight. I want to instantly eat better.
Yeah.
All these things are big changes in life.
So it's about so if that's one of the reasons why they don't work, the reasons why it would work is if you break it down.
Well, the results don't make the expectation quick enough.
There you go.
Yeah.
So number 2 is you put
Just
the
what we
cart
talked
before
about.
the horse. There you go. So
I've got a couple of horses.
you got a couple of horses. They probably wouldn't carry carts. They carry.
Cart
They,
before the
they
horse.
might carry buckets of your money out.
Context. Cart before the horse.
Context. The context provided in the article, Conrad, was that supplementing a crappy diet is stupid. So we make quick win, crazy 21-day exercise challenges where we work out 3 times a day and change our complete diet only to kick back and fall into bad habits again because we go too far. We take quick wins, quick fad diet. I mean, weight loss and diet is the big one.
Yep.
Crazy shake diets for 21 days. You lose all the weight, you put it back on, these kind of things. Yep. And probably this is all because of number 3 is that you don't actually believe in yourself.
Oh, that's pretty big.
But that's a whole topic to itself, so we won't go further into it. But this one probably suits you. Number 4 is too much thinking, not enough doing.
Yep, I'm a thinker.
Yep. You're in too much of a hurry. You don't enjoy the process. The fitness goals don't happen, so you have some quick supplements and try and lose the weight. You're trying too hard. You don't track your progress. You have no social support. And you know your what, but you don't know your why.
Yeah, well, that's process.
That's vision.
Yeah, you want something, but you don't know why you want it. That's an Alice in Wonderland quote.
It says, "Don't forget your free guide." So if you want to do a download, there you go.
I don't want a free guide on that shit. Out of any of that, what resonated with you?
We set ridiculous resolutions at a time of year that comes off the back of generally a lot of eating, relaxing.
But you are very. You and Tash do an end of year audit and checklist and stuff. You got from what I know. Yours is probably one of the most detailed I've ever come across.
Yep, true. So I do that because it's also mapped out over a year. It's not just I'm going to change these 5 to 7 things instantly in my life right now. I mean, most people don't go, I'm going to have a job change and I'm going to do that in 6 months. They say, I'm going to have a job change, I'm going to do it right now. And they're doing it from a negative space, right? Because they
don't want something.
They don't want something.
Or they don't want to be somewhere.
That's right. So that's the challenge. Whereas if anyone wants this process, I can share this. So hit me up. But I've built about a 10, 12 page document that actually digs right through reviewing last year's financials.
You can put it in the show notes.
I can put it in the show notes, both business and personal. It helps you go through a list of pros and cons of what happened over the last year, what you want to do more of, what you want to do less of, how what your goals are mapped out over the next 12 months in a financial basis, in a relationship basis, in hobbies. There's a series of different aspects, and it does things like, and then it says, what are your life goals? So you go through a list of 10, 15 places you want to travel in your life. And then once you go through and map some of that process out, you go, okay, what are we going to do next year? And so we break that down and set a plan, and we realize, okay, we need to cut out this aspect because it's not serving us. All right, we'll cut that out. Maybe there's a group of people that we hang out with from time to time that just doesn't serve us to be hanging out with anymore. Or maybe there's some changes we want to make around our budgeting and finance, and we implement that. But it's a 12-month process with 12-month goals, and I'm still looking at now. And by doing that, I've got a whole year. I make it a marathon instead of a sprint. I've got a series of things that need to be ticked off over a whole year instead of going, hey, I'm going to achieve these 7 things. I've failed by 14 Jan. I'm done. And I think that's what most people do. They very quickly look to rapidly change pretty much their entire life, because if you change your lifestyle, diet, job...
What's Clown Boy over there laughing at? Huh? What are you laughing at?
Well, we try to change our life on January 1. It ain't going to happen. And it's just we've all done it from experience. And yeah, I think we try to do too many things. And the main one that resonated there is like, we just don't know why we're doing it, other than we know. For me, knowing what I've learned over the last 6 months, a lot of it is generally coming from a negative vision. Therefore, I know what I don't kind of want, but I don't really know what I truly want. And so therefore, we set up ourselves for a crazy amount of expectations on Jan 1, Jan 2, or whenever it is. Hit the second week. We miss the mark.
You don't do it on public holidays? You take Jan 1 off?
Yeah, take Jan 1 off and do it on Jan 2. And then... the first hurdle that comes up, because you've set 10 things to change, you're like, fuck it.
You got a birthday a week later, so you need to pretty much sink some piss then, hey?
Pretty much. Yeah. But it's just you're trying too many things, and it's not a silly time of year. It's a good time of year to reflect. But I like
But reflection at any stage in the year is fucking amazing, right?
That's where I was about to go. It's like you don't need to wait.
Put in the group
till Jan 1.
It's the end of a fucking decade. Big fucking deal, mate. It pissed me off when you did that.
I was literally just pointing out a fact.
Who gives a shit?
Clearly you.
He's worried about the end of the century. He's seen too many of them.
I was just pointing out a fact. We're going in
but time doesn't exist, right? I mean, at its highest level, time is a construct. Right, because December 30th, January 1st, July the 30th, well, who the fuck cares? And why do we fucking care about it? I'm more concerned with what we do and how we do it and when we do it. I don't give a shit about the end of the year or the start of the year or the financial year. I mean, you've got those things constructed by governments and organisations and whatever else to achieve what you've got to achieve. But if you want to get married in 5 months' time, you've got a goal, right? I think Murph's getting married some stage in the next few months. He's got a goal. All right, so we've got to do something to get towards that. Whether that happens to be at the end of a year or the start of the year or in the middle of the year, who really cares?
Hato might. How do you feel about it, Hato?
Couldn't care less.
End of a decade?
No.
What's your next 10 years going to look like? You plan that far ahead?
I'll probably get a haircut.
Plant some trees.
Fucking hell. We can only hope. But you guys have touched on a few things that I had on my list, which are key points as to why we don't achieve things. We set unrealistic goals. That's the biggest one, right? And so we use a technique called smart goal setting, being specific, being measurable, attainable, relevant, and time restricted. So if you want to lose 10 kilos, great. How quick?
Not by 14 Jan.
Well, you might be able to, just won't be eating, right?
Just go to Cambodia and eat the worst thing you could find.
The next one was focusing on too few areas. So we talked about setting too many goals. The other polarity is setting too few goals. Okay, so when we're talking, when some of the work we've done recently and that you guys have done a couple of months ago, around choices. And choices are goal setting, right? If you guys understand that. 8 to 9 is generally where your sweet spot is. So if you're going to set a goal, have 9 in play at any given time in your life, no problems. I think when you knock one off, go for another one.
Does that not cloud your focus? Could you enable focus, or I guess using it from a context of New Year's resolutions?
Yep.
Setting 1 or 2, is that enabling you to be more focused on those areas, or do you still think sort of more is better in that fact?
I like to do. I think you've got to aim for around 8 to 9. I think because you've got so many different aspects to your life that play out against and across each other and compete for everything, that you might focus on a business goal and not have your personal goals aligned up, and then one impacts the other, or vice versa. So I think you've really got to take into consideration all of those other aspects.
Yeah, I think even just coming back from the list, what has become obvious is you've got to treat it like a marathon. So therefore, you can't just have 1 or 2 goals, because you're inadvertently going to treat it like a sprint. And therefore, having the 8 or 9, knowing what we've done now, is like, for example, like, I want to go for a run. Okay, well, why? Oh, because it makes me feel good. Oh, what is that going to do? Oh, it's going to make me perform better at work. And what's that going to do? Oh, that's going to help me achieve my personal goals. Oh, what's that going to do? That's going to help me serve the people around me better. Oh, okay. So I think having that that breadth, because I never actually had been aware of focusing on too few.
Yeah,
had never really clicked.
Well, the other thing is and rolling back is the SMART goal thing, because the minute you, let's say, write 5 big goals down, no problems. But if you then have a look at them over time, overlay them, it becomes pretty obvious if you're making those sort of top 5 standard New Year's resolutions and you're expecting it to happen immediately. There's no time to focus on that and this and this and that. So you need to actually map that out over time, actually bring the SMART format into it, so and overlay it, and then it can make sense. And that's why I think it needs to be a bigger number as well.
I agree.
We talked about underestimating the completion time, so not understanding the goal and in the intricacy well enough. And again, I think you can avoid that largely through conversations and
being realistic, really. Isn't it?
And externalising the accountability, so that when you're talking to people about what you're trying to achieve, they can overlay some of their experiences. Because you're not unique. I don't care what anyone says.
You are, Conrad,
You
to
are.
me.
Not appreciating failure. I think we've touched on this around the place. I mean, failure is a tough one to understand, because it's so riddled with so much negative connotation. What's the acronym? First attempt in learning, fail. I mean, it's simple, but understanding that on the way to achieving anything, you're going to fail a number of times. The opportunity that failure presents you with is the opportunity to reassess, to learn, iterate, and move and tact in a different direction. It doesn't stop you. It just tests whether you want it or not. Using other people's goals or setting other people's goals, and that's a really interesting one. And
Is that could be a whole episode, really?
Yeah, it can be, and it probably will be in the future. But I've worked with a couple of people recently where when we've gone through some of the conflict resolution work, we found out that they were championing somebody else's position. When that became obvious to them, they wanted to smack themselves in the head because it wasn't obvious to them until we framed some of the questioning. So it's really interesting to understand why you want to achieve what you want to achieve. Now, is it your wife or your husband or your partner wanting you to give up smoking, or if they've given up smoking, so you're going to go on the journey with them, the happy wife, happy life shit that people say, is that, because if it's not your goal, you're not going to buy into it. You just can't. You're not emotionally invested in it. All right, and you're probably going to impact the other person's success with your bullshit.
And on that, I think as well is trying to dig into. There's probably 2 layers of that. What you've just talked about is I feel like they're pretty front of mind type of influence of goals. But then there are underlying goals of others, which generally are coming from your parents, your peers, where, that's been imprinted on you for many, many years. So it's like, I need to become a doctor. That's my goal. But that might not be your true goal. And
Well, that's your mums and dads generally.
There's a lot of that, and trying to dig into identifying those 2 layers.
Yeah.
There's probably, as we know, there are deeper ones as well. But yeah, trying to go into the subconscious goals of
Yep.
others as well.
The not reviewing and progressing. So again, a lot of people write this shit down and they don't share it with anybody, so therefore they've got no level of external accountability, and they can move the rules on themselves whenever they want. So in the office, we put our goals up around the workstations. Everyone can see what we're doing, both personally and professionally. With our clients goals, at least the ones that we're having some influence over, are all centrally located and tracked, so we can see how we're progressing. You can't achieve anything without dealing with the bullshit of hiding. You can't, right? So externalise as much as you can. The one I really want to spend a little bit of time on, if we've got time. We've talked about setting too many goals, which we talked about. We know that, and that just waters down your attention and your energy. But the one that we've touched on is setting negative goals, and I think it's something that I've become very aware of. The running away from something as opposed to attracting something or moving towards something. Growing up with not having a lot, I didn't have a lot of money, and I ended up in the finance game. And naturally, I wanted to be rich because I hated being poor. And I learned very quickly that that didn't work. I actually became poorer after getting a sample of it all. So once I understood what I was doing to myself, you get a chance to then delve deep into your own psychology and figure it out. You start to set goals that are based around your self-worth and self-love mechanisms. And again, you've got to do work on yourself to get there. But the only way to achieve anything great is to actually become great with yourself. Does that make sense? And it's fucking hard. It is.
It would be hard for you. I mean,
Well, I was fortunate enough to have lunch yesterday with a guy that got me into financial planning. He just turned 60, and I managed to take him out for lunch and have a yarn to him. And I said to him, I could never repay him.
So someone younger got you into financial planning.
I said to him that I could never repay him for the opportunity and the lessons he's given me, and I can never do that. I mean, if anybody knows me well enough knows that I'm doing fairly well for myself, and in turn doing fairly well for myself, creating opportunities, jobs, and outcomes for clients. And to bring him back to who he was, to enable me to pull my head out of my own ass and figure that out, was an amazing lunch to have around. The opportunity to work with him has presented itself, and it's something I'm trying to figure out. But it's really interesting when you get a chance to do that and figure out those types of people in your life. And I'll talk about that a bit later today. But it's really important, if you're not having much luck achieving stuff, understand where the seed has been planted. It's not because you're incapable. It's not because you're incompetent. It's because you haven't planted the right seed the right way. You guys?
Yeah, tell us. I really like the story you tell about the seed in the bad soil compared to the seed in the good soil.
Yeah, I use farming analogy all the time because life is about growth. It's about being uncomfortable, and I talk about planting seeds all the time. And we can plant seeds. We can plant the greatest seeds in the shittiest of soils, and we may get some level of growth, but we may never get the growth we need to produce the best produce we're trying to produce. And then you've got the case where you produce average and terrible seeds in the most fertile soil, and you get an abundance worth of stuff. So it's really important that the environment, and so if you can get the environment and the seed right, the results are phenomenal. And it's worth doing the work on yourself because you are the soil.
So in context, you're saying, like, say if you're trying to plant the seed, so you're using your emotion of being poor as a child to try to make yourself rich, then you'll truly never get to the heights that you could or you want to.
I made some money, but I lost it pretty quickly.
Exactly. But if you plant your seed in a positive emotion of wanting to help people or knowing your why or that sort of thing, you will find that growth and that
it's more sustainable. And bigger. I thought I was doing some good shit when I was in my 20s, and I was. Don't get me wrong. But what I'm doing now in my 40s is completely different. Completely different. But sometimes you got to learn the hard way. What do we know? There's 3 ways of learning: easy way, hard way, and through tragedy. I think I've learned all 3.
Well, for me, that number 7, the setting negative goals, is something that switched in me and is very powerful, because if you're trying to create abundance from something negative, then it will never truly grow to the heights. So as soon as I switched to trying to create that abundance from a positive emotion or a positive experience, or something that where we want to go from positive space, it's incredible where I don't know, my life trajectory has gone anyway.
The easiest trick that I did was just to serve other people.
Yeah.
Let other people achieve their goals. Help other people achieve their goals. I mean, if you can do that and be a true servant of another person, success is easy.
Coming off the show notes that we received 2 seconds starting this.
You want some examples?
No. Well, there are examples here and I want to talk through one. But what I like about this is because from what I've come to understand, a lot of moving towards stuff or away is emotion. And it's the emotion that kind of starts to get us going.
Well, emotion leads to action, action leads to outcome.
Yeah. So I liked here, it's got one example is the lose weight. So for instance, many people have a goal of losing weight. However, the goal is a negative connotation. It's focused on what you don't want, your weight. A positive way to reframe the goal is that you want to get healthy. Because as we know, where our focus goes, our energy flows. So if we're focusing on losing weight, which is the negative version of that, that's a negative emotion to that, because the emotion of losing weight means, oh, fuck, I have to work out, I have to sacrifice food, I have to do all of this, and then that compounds, and therefore it becomes energy draining because there's a lot of mental kind of resistance to that. Whereas if you flip it, which is suggested here, as we know, as into I want to get healthy, and then you think about the space of being healthy and the emotion of what that feels like. I have more energy. I'm going to be able to go, have better experiences with the people around me. I'm going to feel better about myself. That is a much better space to sit in because there's more positive feelings there. And this applies to everything. And I mean, I've through some of the learnings we've had over the last couple of months, I've been practicing this, and just generally, I've had a lot more energy on a day-to-day basis than what I used to have. And going through and doing some work, looking inwards, realizing how many things were negative goal-orientated rather than, true essence. And Tony Robbins talks about this very well as well. Anyone familiar with that? Is thinking about the end outcome and the feeling and the emotion that would provide, and then pulling that to this moment now. And what you end up finding out is that half of the things that you want, you can actually experience in this moment if you were to truly think about it. And that's why people talk about visualization a lot, and practicing using your imagination, and all of these type of things. I just thought it was really interesting how you can really go the other way if you're focusing on, I want to not be poor. I want to lose weight.
It's a dead set slide down the steepest hill.
I want to be successful because I'm not happy with where I'm at, versus the opposite.
Well, the big problem you've got with that is that you're missing the gratitude piece that gives you the foundation or the landing space, right? So if you're not grateful, the slide back is actually below where you started. And that's what people don't get.
Grateful in what aspect?
Grateful from where you are, and grateful for who you are.
You can't enjoy the journey. So, like, if you're facing
you can't climb.
Well, you can't enjoy it. So, say for example, the weight loss thing. But so if it's healthy instead of weight loss, you go for a couple of runs, like you say, JB, and you're going to feel that progress. We love progress, but you're going to feel like you're getting healthier all the time. Whereas if you were focused on a weight loss goal, for example, you're just going to feel that lack every time, like all the time, even if you're trying to work out, and that's why you'll fail, because you're not feeling good, you're not enjoying that process.
So if it's get healthy, how do we put tangible goals, and track it then? If it's because weight loss is, per kilo or whatever. So is get healthy too blasé to be able to track?
Exercise, diet.
Yeah.
I still think you can set a number.
I still think
you still can.
I think you can still set the weight loss goal. It's just not. That's just not the focus.
That's part of it overall.
Why.
The focus is is getting healthy. That is just a stepping stone along the journey.
Well, you can break it down. I want to eat X amount of meals that are, salad and etc. rather than eating out.
As an example, I've been practicing this, even though we're drinking beer at 11 o'clock at night, but
in the morning.
It's 10 a.m.
There you go. 6% is really getting to my head.
You drank it all.
Yeah, why not? It's good. No.
He's trying to be good because Tash is here.
Yeah, that's it.
Oh, mate, you can tell he's whipped here.
I've been spending some time in the
She brought you cookies.
Let's say the healthy space. And even just when it comes to the time to, say, eating lunch or a particular meal, because you're focused on that and you connect with the energy and you realize, if I eat something bad, how that's going to make you feel, already that's just starting to influence the choices that you're making on the micro. And so I think you can still set the measurable goals because I think like what we talked about earlier, we need to know that we are progressing. And it comes back to the reflecting and the reviewing of progress. Because if you don't see any progress, that
change something.
You need the measurable goals.
Yeah, what you can't, what you don't track, you can't. What is it? Measure or improve? One or the other. Yeah, something like that.
You can't improve.
Yep.
Cool. Any bits and pieces?
Yeah, just one thing.
Yeah.
Your notes here. Did you get them off Lifehack or did you, ink.com?
Any real questions?
He got out his feather.
Any real questions?
Feather and
Can we go to the crowd? Because we've got people here. I don't have to listen to your shit.
You might have to listen to my answer.
Anybody in the crowd got any questions on what we've talked about today? Do you remember any of it?
Yeah, so we've got a bit of time, guys. Hey guys, thanks so much for listening to this episode. As usual, please like, share, subscribe, do all those things, all the usual things. You've heard all of it before, but we really value every little action that you take for us. We put a lot of effort into this show and we want to make sure that it's a show that you love and enjoy. So please do that. And until next time, don't wait around. Part 2's coming up next drop, and you'll definitely want to grab that. It's the Q&A, and it's time to hear what the audience think and how and what 2020 looks like for them.